Hello, beautiful people. Good morning. Good morning. I am so excited to be here talking about Frenshe Book Club, Attacking Anxiety and Depression by Lucinda Bassett. I am every day doing my work. I am on session 7, and I feel that this session is a game changer for anyone suffering with anxiety or depression because it just really helps. It's something that we, I think, forget, and it's about assertive behavior. So I'm excited to bring on one of my girls, Sarah, to talk about this. Yeah, it's going to be good. So hold on one second. Let's see. Hi, you guys. Hi.
Hi, is this?
Can you hear me?
Yes. I don't know if. Can you see me?
I can see you. Can you see me?
Okay, yes, hi.
I'm like, I can see you.
The way
Hello.
that Instagram is not our friend right now. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. I'm really excited to chat with this. I was reading everything yesterday, and I think this is such like a relevant topic right now.
I know. I know. It really is. And it's like something I was just saying that I think for me is a game changer in this book. I feel like that's why they put it at like session 7. It's something that we obviously know to do, but we forget, and it really contributes to anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
Um, so I want to dive in. As I said, this session is about assertive behavior, speak confidently, and gain respect. One of the things I noted was that it says being assertive is standing up for yourself. It is learning to put yourself first, learning to express your feelings and opinions. It is learning to say no. Being assertive is making a statement about how you feel about a subject or situation. By being assertive, you stand less chance of being victimized, manipulated, or made to feel guilty and used. That is something that I have trouble with saying no. I am someone who loves to say yes to people all the time. Um, I think like I know for sure that I have been and still have trouble. I'm like a people pleaser. So it's like, oh yeah, I could do that. Oh yes, that totally works. But I think when that actually hurts you in the long run, because not only um, is it just, to me, it's like by saying yes so many times, like my schedule is just hard to manage. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I have all this stuff to do. And then I realized like, oh, I kind of did that to myself by saying yes to a bunch of things that I couldn't really maybe commit to. Um, and I know that for me too, I don't know if you feel this, Sarah, but I have like a hard time when I feel disrespected. Like I feel if I feel taken advantage of, that's very hard for me. I'm someone who commits like 100% or 150% of myself to projects, to relationships. Um, and so when I feel like taken advantage of or disrespected, it like weighs heavily on me. And I think that that is what causes a lot of my anxiety. And then obviously, some bits of depression. How does that affect you?
I think one of the things that I've learned through therapy and just through my experiences is that when people disrespect you, it's almost never about you, like it's always something going on with them where they feel insecure, where they're going through something, where they're projecting or they're greedy, or it's almost never actually about you. So I don't take it personally anymore, and I kind of have to redirect my thinking into that. If this person is hurting me, there's something going on in their lives that I hope that they get through. Because I mean, you've seen Legally Blonde, the quote that's like, happy people don't kill like their husbands. I think of it, like happy people don't hurt people.
Yeah.
So, and it's really sad because I think most of the pain and most of the hurt in the world, it doesn't come from like a place of malice. It comes from like a place of like unresolved
Their own.
trauma and hurt. Um, but I also, I actually really love telling people no. And I think it's because I've been practicing it over the last couple of years, because I was talking to my therapist about setting boundaries, and my friend Tess was kind of like, oh, but boundaries are like how you let people know how to love you. So I think if you set really strong boundaries in your relationships and your friendships, you're actually helping the people in your life be a better friend to you. So I look at it as like not saying no, but I'm redirecting them and our relationship into like a better place.
Yeah. No, I agree with everything you just said. I feel like um, that a lot of sometimes, or when I'm feeling hurt by someone, I can pinpoint that I might be going through a lot of pain in their life. And so, I'm like, okay, this is where it's coming from. But it's still, I think because I allow myself to kind of get into it, that it's more like kind of feeling like I let myself down and allowing myself to get hurt by it. But it's all about setting boundaries, like you said. Um, I have had a lot of people take advantage of boundaries in my past, and like from like teams and people I've worked with, and I really had to learn like how to create that boundary, because I was like, okay, you can't like, text me at this hour, with an old manager of mine. And I was like, this is so wild that this person thinks that they can be like, I can be available to them at all the time. And just like how you have to set your own boundaries, other people have to set their boundaries as well. And I have to respect that too. So I think that that is something that has been really, it's, it's important to remember for myself, but it is something that I try to do all the time. There's a little cat.
She's part of Friendship Book Club now.
I know, I know. Um, I wanted to say too that I wanted to point it out. It says people who suffer from this condition are often taken advantage of by others. You're so easily hurt and made to feel guilty that others use this to get what they want from you. In other words, they know what buttons to push to get you and make you feel bad. If they push those buttons hard enough, they will get the reaction they're looking for. You must learn
Mm.
buttons off, and you must learn to recognize your weaknesses and learn how to overcome them. If people take advantage of you, it is because you let them, and you can learn how to stop them. And I love that, because I think that it's something where sometimes for me, being assertive can feel uncomfortable. Um, it probably makes a lot of people feel uncomfortable, but I think it's so important to respect yourself, respect how you feel, share your opinions. I'm not like a very confrontational person, even in friendships, and I'm like, oh, like I hate, feeling this way, but I just know that like when I have like a really good friend that might have made me feel a certain way, it's important to let them know, because I'm sure that they would want to know, especially if they probably don't know that they did anything to hurt me, because that's most of the time. And so I think it's really about communication. Obviously, communication is something I've always felt is healthy in relationships, whether that's with a partner or a friendship or a family member. The only way to get through something is to communicate your feelings. But I do think that being assertive and standing up for yourself is important, because it makes you feel like less small. And I think that contributes to depression. Um, we have the power within us. We all have, like, we all could step into our own power. It's just like these little things that sometimes we get involved with, or not being assertive enough, can sometimes make us feel bad and make us feel small and victimized, where it's like, take that power back, step into your own power. Know that you are worthy of a healthy relationship with people. And I think that, like you said, it's just knowing not to take things personally, and also knowing that like it's important to share your opinions, and not, this is what I do the most, is I try to I'm like, okay, I'm going to share my opinion, but then I'm like managing their feelings of how they might feel by me sharing their opinion. And I'm like, you got to stop that spiral.
I was gonna say, does that stop you from being totally honest if you're worried about what they're thinking or feeling?
I have been someone who in my own life has always thought, thinking it's a good thing, like obviously thinking of others and how they might feel based off of like something that I'm doing, or like I'm like, why should I be managing other people's feelings? Like I can't manage people's feelings. Like I can't manage how they're going to feel, if I share my opinion and they take it the wrong way. It's like, it's just important for me to share my thoughts, not be aggressive, just be assertive, and them share how they feel and me be able to listen to that. Um, I think that, yeah, I try to sometimes manage like, oh my God, I really hope I don't make them feel bad. And it's like, I can't do that. How do you deal with that? Do you like ever come up against that kind of feeling?
Yeah, I think like what I've realized is that conflicts are kind of inevitable in friendships and relationships as a whole. Like you can have the best relationship with a best friend, a partner, a family member, but you're still going to have, I don't want to say fight because that sounds bad, but you're always going to have a moment that is uncomfortable because someone did something, someone said something. Like I think that's very human nature. So taking a minute to be like, oh, this is actually normal in life and it's not the end of the world and everyone goes through this, every relationship goes through this. And conflicts can be a great thing because you can, like you said, you communicate through them and you can grow through them and then it can help make the relationship stronger. So I kind of have to take a step back and kind of, talk myself into that more positive headspace where I have to see it as an opportunity versus something devastating. And
Yeah.
then yeah, I try to have grace with them because I also think it's about how you communicate whatever you're feeling. Like I think there's a tactful way of doing it. So I know that I don't respond well to anger, so I try not to speak from a place of anger. So if I'm upset with someone, I kind of use like, I think it's good for people to take a day and kind of get their emotions under control before talking it through. Like I think that's totally valid and more people should do it. So like I try to just tell people, hey, when you did this, it made me feel like this. And that's kind of the formula I stick to because I've learned that if you come at someone and you're like, oh, you're being an ass, they don't take that very well, even though it may have been true. So if you just focus on kind of how you're feeling, you can talk through that versus it becomes like this accusational like fight.
Yeah. I totally agree because I think that when you're upset, whether it's you're angry, upset, hurt, there's so many things you can say to someone that you might not mean. And it's so important to take that pause and to really figure out, okay, why do I feel this way? How can I make this like, how can I communicate these feelings in a more, obviously like progressive way? I think that is probably one of the most important things in this book is it always says to take a pause. Always says like, especially when you're reacting, like if there's something that I know I used to overreact to certain situations, and that was something that I learned 6 years ago through this book on how to kind of like pause, realize what it is that you're going to react about, and realize that it's not that big of a deal probably, and you're okay. And I think that that is something that even with being assertive, you have to take that minute. You have to kind of like go through your feelings and communicate from that point versus being angry or hurt, because it could only escalate, I think, from there. In that people might not understand because you're just kind of like going off and like being like, this is what it made me feel. And you don't really even understand your feelings at that point. So I feel like that is the secret to everything in this book. I wanted to read another passage. And it says about depression. It says not standing up for yourself, feeling misunderstood and unrecognized leads to feeling small. This can be very depressing. This kind of depression can be traced to a cause, as in cause and effect. You have more control of this than you think. You can't have a feeling without a thought first. How you think contributes to feelings of depression. So it really is talking about how, it's important for you to stand up for yourself, to, speak from a confident area, and you gain that respect by obviously speaking from there, and you feel better about the situation, feel more in power. Have you ever been in a situation where it kind of like where you were learning this, I guess, Sarah, and like, do you want to speak about what that situation was before you got to understanding how to deal it like with it perfectly? Did I lose you? Oh no, are you frozen? I can't hear you. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Because I can't hear you. The universe does not want you to tell your story. I don't know what's happening. Can anybody hear us? Because I can't hear Sarah. Let's see. Can you guys hear us? Maybe I should try to add you again. Hello, hello. What happened? I'm going to sign off and then try to add you again. Let's see. Okay, we're having technical difficulties. You just hear me? Okay. Let me try her again.
Okay. It's never a dull day with her.
I know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now too.
We're girls in STEM. Okay, what was your question?
My question was, have you, before you learn the tools on how to be assertive, like what was a situation that you could share with us?
Yeah. I used to be a pretty bad communicator in that, so I'm a huge crybaby. And it used to be before I learned, like take a step back, don't take things personally. I would just cry because I cry when I'm angry. I cry when I'm sad. And most people don't want to have a healthy conversation with someone who's just bawling. So, yeah, I mean, before I think I really learned how to communicate, it would always get into situations where neither one of us felt heard. And I think that was the like third biggest thing is that most people, when they're sharing something with you, they just want to be heard. They just want their feelings acknowledged. And similarly, when I'm telling someone like, hey, you hurt me, I'm not really looking for anything other than I respect how you're feeling and I'm going to do better. Like, I think we build up these conversations to be so big and in our minds, but really it's just about letting someone know that you see them and you see what they're going through, and you'll try your best to do better. So yeah, that was a really big thing.
Can agree with you on the crying. I remember crazy memories of me in high school. I'm such a little sensitive soul that I had such a hard time being assertive with a teacher, like telling them something. I was like, I would be on the verge of crying how I was sharing my opinions or feelings with them. And I was like, why am I about to cry over this? Like, it's so crazy. And it was because I was like scared and fearful of like, sharing my feelings or something about homework or like, it was just so funny that I remember those memories. And so I think that, yes, it can be scary at first, but once you learn the tools, be confident and know that you have a right to share your feelings and opinions. And definitely, like I said, and you said, take a pause. I love this little cards, the cards that they give you.
Yeah.
It says, Session 7, assertive behavior. I am worthy of respect. I can say no. I am here to be heard, not to win. The more I practice, the more comfortable I become with new skills and behaviors. Assertiveness promotes self-worth. Assertive people get respect. It's healthy to be myself. I can let go of guilt. I love those reminders because I think that like it's healthy to be myself is just such a amazing thing. There's some times where I feel so misunderstood by friends on just who I am. I feel like I honestly remember saying to my husband, I'm like, I feel like you're like the first person that really understands me. But you know what? It's really just about like, yes, we all have these weird quirks and I'm sensitive and, like I have these kind of mental health stuff that I go through. But I think that kind of what I've mentioned in the past when I was doing my album Symptoms, that when I started to share my journey with mental health, I saw that it's such a beautiful thing. It's scary, it feels horrible. And, when you're really in it, it's the worst feeling. But I think that everybody goes through something like this. Everyone goes through anxiety at some point in their life or depression at some point in their life. And so you're not alone. And I think that trying to be like, oh, I'm perfect and my life is perfect. It's like no one has that. And I feel like that's just such a surface kind of like, I don't know. I think it's a beautiful thing that this is like what being a human is all about, is having all of these different layers. And so be proud of who you are and know that you can get through anything. And you have the power to stick up for yourself. And so, yeah, I loved this session for
Those
sure.
good reminders. It reminds me of I was taking a walk the other day because I love history and psychology and all that, and I had this realization that the universe is so old and civilization is so old. So anything that we're experiencing, it's like it's been felt before. Like the things that we go through are universal in that, yeah, if you're feeling anxiety and if you're feeling depressed, you're not the only one. And also people have been feeling this way since probably the caveman era, like, and they've gone through that and they've survived that. So as alone, I think as we feel, if you look at it even just scientifically, people have been dealing with this since forever, and you're not the person, you're not the last person. And I think there's a little bit of community in that because you I don't know, I sometimes feel like a freak, like why am I feeling this way? I'm the only one who's reacting to this. I'm the only one who has done this, blah blah blah. But that's not true. And there's so many people who have probably gone through the exact same thing you're feeling and coping with it the same way you are.
Yeah.
Um,
I did you just
I
can you hear me?
yeah, did Instagram cut?
No, I honestly think that that's so true. It's interesting how when we go through these things, we feel like you said, like the only one going through it, and like, why is this happening to me? And even just recently, like I said, I've had like kind of a tick up in anxiety and stuff that reminded me of what I went through, 5 years ago, and that's why I went back to this book. And of course, I can get into that thinking of like, why is this happening now? And it's important to be like, okay, this is happening. It's probably because I have a lot on my plate right now. I'm definitely stressed out. I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm learning, I'm still learning how to be a mom and work at the same time. We just went through a crazy pandemic, and we're all kind of like coming out of it and like probably being like, how do we, you know, obviously walk through this new world of like everything we've been through. So I think it's important to like have those compassionate thoughts, you know, be your best friend in those moments. Don't be hard on yourself. Be compassionate to yourself and allow yourself to feel the feelings you're feeling. It's when we don't want to acknowledge those anxiety feelings and push them away because we're scared that I feel like they start to really come out. But yeah, feel that and be like, it's okay. I'm going to get through this. I've gone through this before and I'm going to get through it again. It's all about that positive thinking and thought process.
Yeah. And it's so hard not to have grace with ourselves, because I know you just said, you know, like you're going through a lot, and but that is so true. Like you are going through a lot. Like I'm not a mother, but I can't imagine like that first year of motherhood and the pandemic. And like when we have so much going on, like our mental, you know, we're just so stressed, so then our emotions feel stronger because more things are slipping through. And it's not about anyone, it's not like you didn't get stronger over the last 5 years. You did. It's just that you're literally juggling so much that it makes sense for like stuff to slip through. And it's not a reflection of like you being weak, and it's not a reflection of you not having learned from your experiences. It's that like you're literally carrying so much right now, but like the lessons that you learned are still there and they're going to catch you.
Yeah, exactly. You're the best, Sarah. I love having you on the Frenshe team.
I also, I love what you said about being the best friend, because whenever I've noticed I'm like being really hard on myself, I'd be like, wait, I would never let anyone speak to my best friend like this. Like, why I don't like this?
I honestly just like feel like, yeah, I've always stopped myself and like, would I say that to my best friend? Like, you're doing horrible. Like, you know, I would never say that to a best friend. You'd always want to like be there and be like, oh my gosh, this is like, you know, you're fine. You're gonna get better. It's always positive and compassionate. And so it's crazy how we do that for others, but not for ourselves. And it's so important for us to do that and feed ourselves those thoughts as well, because we should be our own best friend. You know, I think that that is so important. That has helped me through many years of feeling like I failed at something, you know, like I might be doing something wrong. I had a moment where, you know, just like even as a mom being like, oh my gosh, like how did I, like, why didn't I think about that? And it's like, it's okay. This is your first time doing this. You know, this is not something you know right away. So, you know, it's a learning process. And yeah, I think that, like I said, this is a game changer. If you guys want to check out this book, it's called Attacking Anxiety and Depression. It completely helped me tremendously 6 years ago. And it's helping me now as well. And Sarah, thank you so much for joining me.
Of course.
You're the best. And I just feel like our conversations offline are like therapy as well. So it's great to share that with everybody. So yeah, so I will see you guys next weekend. And I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend and get a little meditation in, feed your soul with some love, positive thoughts. And I will see you guys next weekend. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.